What? What the? What?
My visions
Alaria.
are not the same as the others.
Preview. Feature
No
preview.
radiance, no song,
Portali Ridicrona.
just the shadow taunting me from below.
Okej. Okej. What the fuck? Oh, nice. W żadnych przeciekach tego nie było. Co jest? Ja, to jest dodatek pod ziemią. What? Urban? Hero Talent. To jest to, co mówiłem. What? I like Drake. Daj, wiadomo. Damn, ale to wygląda dobrze.
The fate of our world rests upon the edge of a knife.
Dalara.
And
Zalata.
the battle lies deep within.
Okej, jest Joda, jest Zalata.
In the war within, alongside beautiful, unique underground zones, we will have challenging dungeons and raids and some new features too that are built to last.
O,
If you
Evergreen.
like exploring on your own with a couple of friends or family, we have delves. These are a variety of bite-sized experiences for 1 to 5 players that will offer endgame rewards.
1 to 5, cudownie.
You may also find in your delve a familiar character who'd be willing to fight alongside you.
Bronze
And if
Beat.
you're like me and you have an obsession with alts, we have warbands. With this feature, you could treat all of your characters like family and share banks, reputations, treasure.
Nice! Zrobił... Nice! Dobrze!
We're also introducing a new layer of customization for your class specs with hero talents.
To
You
będą
might
power
wanna take your
talenty.
character down the path of a dark ranger, let's say, or a farseer, and more.
What? Nie zrobicie tak. No co wy gadacie?
Also, during your travels underground, you will meet the earthen dwarves, and you'll be able to unlock them as our new allied race.
To mnie tak zaskoczyło. Okej, fajnie.
I mean, who doesn't love a dwarf? The facial hair options
True.
are spectacular. There's so much more to talk about, so please join the What Next panel that's coming up right after the opening ceremony right here. What I can tell you, though, is that the call to get into the fight to save our world will ring out when the War Within releases next year.
A jakieś plus minus? Fall. O!
And
Okay.
lastly, I sincerely want to say,
Jesień, no.
we are so excited to begin this new journey with you. And from our hearts to yours, thank you for bringing our world to life.
World of Warcraft, what's next?
Let's go. Dobra, słuchajcie, let's talk details. Pomówmy o szczegółach. Co tam się będzie działo? Co byście tam wymyślili z tymi hero... Oh my god. Oj.
4 years have passed since the
Since
mortal races gathered together in
and stood
Anaheim,
united.
California. And now the drums of Blizzcon thunder once again. Let me hear the thunder!
Yeah!
Yes!
Nie no, fajnie było.
Ah! Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here with us today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the World of Warcraft What's Next panel. My name is Taryn Gregory, and as you may have heard, thank you. As you may have heard from Chris during the opening ceremonies, we are at the dawn of a new era of Warcraft. The World Soul Saga. A story that will play out over the next 3 expansions and will take us on an adventure in World of Warcraft like we've never experienced before. This saga kicks off with the War Within. In this first chapter, our heroes will be called on an expedition to the subterranean depths of Azeroth, revealing a new world full of mystery, wonder, and darkness. There we will confront the shadows below and face new challenges on the battlefield as well as in ourselves. So what is next? During this section, I'll share an overview of the story of the War Within, and then next you'll hear from Maria Hamilton, who will speak to zones and cultures, and then wrapping up with Morgan Day, who will talk about dungeons, the raid, and our new systems.
Czyli porozmawiamy najpierw o historii, o lore.
In our cinematic reveal, did you guys enjoy the cinematic?
Było fajne, było okej.
Big shout out to the cinematic team for their work on that. It's just incredible.
Nie no, zrobiony jest fenomenalnie.
We witnessed as Thrall found Anduin Wrynn, who has been wandering alone for the last few years, grappling and lost in his own thoughts and dealing with the experience that he's been through, as many of you may have remembered. Throughout this and our features trailer, we learned 2 very important developments. Starting with these visions. Thrall spoke of a vision calling out from the heart of the world, like a voice from a dream. This radiant song will compel our heroes to investigate its origins, and while at the same time, a darkness has been gathering, even as the heroes adventured on the Dragon Isles, and in the War Within, the mysterious harbinger that Iridikron spoke of will reveal themselves. Xal'atath has returned.
Jest i ona! Jest i ona! Mówiłem.
Freed long ago from the black blade that once bound her, she is now the harbinger of a new era of the Void's dark machinations. And her message is clear. The Black Empire has fallen. The old gods are dead. And their ancient blood runs deep within the cracks of the world. We, the heroes of Azeroth, destroyed them. The forces of the Horde and the Alliance have proven time and again they are among the most powerful armies that have ever stood. The Harbinger has watched this. She is patient. And while the Black Empire failed, Xal'atath now seeks to set in motion the rise of a new dark legacy, one that knows our true strength and will seek to test it against a new threat of terrible power, the Nerubians of Ashkahet.
Okay. Deep
Xal'atath
places.
has conscripted the Nerubian queen Ansarek, having offered her people a new future, one in which they will rise from their isolation as a mighty kingdom once again. And here in this sprawling city of Ashkahet, we will not find the undead soldiers of the Lich King that we faced before, but instead a new mighty stronghold of the Nerubians as they once were, deadly survivors of the mythic wars that have played out time and again over thousands of years. In return for their loyalty, Xal'atath has granted the Nerubians the means of a dark evolution, one that will turn the Nerubians into a new kind of ferocious and terrifying soldier.
Wojnowe
We will
pająki.
clash against
Kumamy.
time and again in the War Within. Now let's talk about who we'll be adventuring with. How do you like the key art?
No, robi robotę, robi.
Several of Azeroth's
Taki
greatest
klasyczny
heroes will
Warcraft.
rise to the call of the Radiant Song, and many will be faced with their own unique challenges. Anduin, having survived his ordeal with domination. Yes, look at the art.
Ej, ale wygląd nowego Anduina 10 na 10, jest świetny.
Anduin will be grappling with his relationship to the holy light that he no longer feels worthy of, while Thrall is seeking a connection to these visions, spreading across the world and working to find his new place in the Horde. While Magni Bronzebeard, long the Speaker of Azeroth, will confront the heavy weight of that responsibility once and for all.
The wounds!
Champion!
Champion!
The wounds champion! Yes!
Ty zgapiaczu, on ma streama odpalonego mojego w
But
słuchawce.
that brings us to, I know you saw this in the features trailer, Alaria Windrunner.
damn, ale te arty są... No,
Valeria's journey will be central to the events of the themes of the War Within, as she, a void hunter, will use all of her prowess to hunt down the Harbinger while being torn between her own nature and the maddening call of the void to which she is attuned. Along the adventure, she will have a unique rivalry with Xalatath, whose twists and turns will come to define the nature of this new conflict.
Super.
Of course, we'll see many more familiar faces on our journey and meet a host of new and interesting characters along the way that Maria is going to tell you more about in just a moment. But finally, this saga is only just beginning. Conceived to be... Yes! Conceived to be an epic worthy of the first 20 years of World of Warcraft, the World Soul Saga aims to redefine the storytelling in our expansion set and strike boldly at the core themes that define Warcraft. The might of heroes, the responsibility of that power, the pursuit of justice.
Tak!
Do my best Mets in there. Justice!
Nie, dobrze.
And the
Tak, o
importance
to chodzi.
of finding common ground
Bardzo
as
dobrze.
well as ourselves amidst adversity. Up next, may I introduce Maria Hamilton, who will be sharing more about our zones and cultures in the War Within. Thank you so much.
Alex, Jezus, ale jestem zajarany lore. Matko święta, ale jestem zajarany tym, absolutnie. To jest spełnienie moich marzeń lorowych od Legionu, naprawdę. Jesus Christ, ale się jaram.
Hello, Blizzcon. Wow, I am so
Hey,
excited
a
to
ty
be
statiarka
here and
9-2.
delighted to represent
10-2.
our team and tell you about the places that we will explore and the cultures we will encounter in the War Within. I can't really see all of you out there. I know there's a lot of you, though, because I can hear you. And I hope to hear lots of oohs and ahs when you see some of this cool art I've got to show you. So let's get started. Thank you.
What?
Yep. Thank you.
Co? Co się stało?
Okay,
Co się stało?
as Taryn mentioned earlier, we'll be called by the Radiant Song, dreamlike visions that come from the heart of the Azeroth. This summons is going to lead us to the subcontinent of Khaz-Algar, a place long forgotten.
Dobrze się
It's
zmieściło.
only through recent explorations in Uldaman that we've discovered a Watcher report concerning a contingent of Earthen that was sent to this place long ago to investigate a fissure in the sector. What exactly that means, we don't really know.
Było w tych
but we could
książkach.
probably speculate.
Odyna.
So first, let's talk about the Earthen. There you go. All right, we have met Titan-forged Earthen before, of course, in Ulduar and other places. But this society of Earthen has been isolated within Khaz-Algar for a really long time and have developed their own manners and customs.
Tak, ładyna.
Now, visually, these Earthen are a bit larger in stature, and they're noticeably blinged out. They've got gems all over them, bedazzled, blinged out, you know, that kind of thing, right? But philosophically, they are guided by the Edicts of the Titans, a set of codified orders, duties, and expectations that provide instructions for the core functions of their society. You know, Titans, order, all that, right?
Okay.
But the Titans have been absent for eons, and the Earthen are no longer united in their adherence to these edicts.
Okay.
They now exist as three groups that are estranged from each other. The Oathsworn, as their name suggests, still uphold the edicts faithfully and believe everyone else is doing it wrong. Their charge is guarding the Core Way, a Titan passageway that leads right to the core of Azeroth. They're primarily the city dwellers. They live conveniently near the object of their responsibility, that Core Way. Now, the Unbound, in contrast, have abandoned the edicts, and they are considered scandalously
Unbound to jest nowy
rebellious by the
obóz, Oathsworn to są
Their
ci,
original
co bagienne
responsibility
ziele
was
palili.
providing the materials to keep the Titan installations supplied. And they're primarily rural. They're living in and around the quarries and the mines where natural resources can be acquired. They rarely interact with the city dwellers. They feel neglected and ignored because they have a different opinion on how they should live. Now, the machine speakers have strayed from the edicts in practice, but not with respect to their overall obligation to keep the Titan works functioning. They've had extremely limited contact with the surface dwellers, and they express no little disdain for those who just don't understand the great machines. Their homes are built around vast industrial projects under the surface that allow them to
projects.
perform their functions in accordance with edicts, more or less. These different perspectives among the Earthen and their variable adherence to the Titan's edicts has weakened the society as originally structured. And that's not good, of course, but a much more serious problem is their steadily dwindling numbers. For reasons that I'm not going to get into here and now, New Earthen can't exist until we help them out by doing some things and unite the Earthen society once more. Happily, as a result of our actions, the Earthen will eventually be unlocked as an allied race.
Co to jest tam po lewej?
Yeah.
Po lewej na
Like
dole.
sweet, don't they?
To jak blodel wygląda. Aha, to jest... Nie no, fajnie wygląda.
These player Earthen will replenish the culture's dwindling numbers and may join either the Horde or the Alliance. Yeah.
Podoba mi się lore tych nowych krasnoludów, natomiast nie jaram się nim jako allied rasą. Aż tak.
But as you can see from a small sampling of combinations, there's some fantastic variations and customizations coming for the Earthen models, including different gem incrustations, beards for all body types, rocky skin patterns, tones, and more. Now that golden mohawk with the braids and the fringe beard, that's quite the look. But I really like the beardless guy with the bushy blonde eyebrows. He looks so cool. He's just kind of like, yep, what do you want me to do? So,
no dobra, spoko, ale
anyway,
to w kustomizacji coś tam nie...
Another cool culture that players will encounter in the War Within is the Arathi.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and you probably have questions, right?
Co tu się stało?
So these are descendants of the original Arathorian Empire. And they arrived relatively recently and through some somewhat mysterious circumstances. And they find themselves trapped here within Khazalgar. Mysterious mostly because I can't say anything more about it just yet because of spoilers, but it's not like spooky mysterious, it's the other kind. As a people, the Arathi are worshippers and wielders of holy fire. They are dedicated to bringing hope and light to the darkness. They're tough, resilient people, with every member of the society being an able combatant. Some few are further blessed with paladin-like abilities through their devotion to the light. Even their airships are powered by sacred flame. The extent to which they're comfortable in battle is probably a good thing, because they have established a home away from home in an enormous cavern bordered by an endless underground sea, from which terrifying creatures emerge to rampage and create havoc. Not my idea of a cool place to hang out, but they're really, really tough. These watery monstrosities, though, are nothing compared to the threat from below. A constant swarm of Nerubians has been held back so far from invading the Arathi lands. The assault is unrelenting, the threat is dire, and the Arathi can't hold much longer. These bastions of light against the darkness are far from home and limited in number. Sure would be terrible if there was also division within the Arathi ranks. Just saying. That would be pretty rough, what with them being so outnumbered. We could probably help them.
Okay.
All right, speaking of the Nerubians in the War Within, we'll explore their last kingdom deep within Khazalgar. These ancient survivors of the Black Empire who rejected their former masters have developed their own culture here in the deep darkness.
Nice.
As Terran mentioned earlier, Zalatath has made a bargain with the Nerubian queen Ansarek, who seeks a new future and renewed glory for her people. The Nerubians are extremely capable and devious adversaries who have been honing their skills with their constant assault on the Arathi. But domination hasn't come fast enough for the Queen's taste, as the Arathi has managed to hold against this onslaught. So this deal with the Harbinger has included some assistance for her troops. Through some dark alchemical process, Zalatath has provided the knowledge required to evolve chosen Nerubians into paragons of their race, enhancing their viciousness. And Queen Ansarek has embraced these modifications with enthusiasm and eagerly offered her army to achieve the Harbinger's schemes. It appears to be a win-win situation. But not all Nerubians share their sovereign's enthusiasm for change and her embrace of Zalatath. Shadowy figures with far too many limbs maneuver against the Harbinger's plans in opposition to the Queen's desire. As you might expect, any foray into this Nerubian kingdom introduces us to a variety of citizens, including some forms we've never encountered before. Here's a layout of some of the Nerubian models that are completed and also some that are in progress, as well as scale reference for goblins and humans, so you just get a sense of size. In addition to the Nerubian citizens, there are also domesticated insects who serve the kingdom as beasts of burden and pets. The team is hard at work building out the full range of carapaces, carapae, I don't know, whichever, skittering legs, grabby arms, piercing spiky bits, and creepy eyes for you
No
to
spoko,
enjoy,
ale ja nie,
I guess.
nie wiem, czy to trzeba o tym cały
Alright,
panel
let's talk
robić.
about our
Tak
zones.
szczerze.
The surface of Khazalgar is our
Oh.
first zone, called
Nice.
the Isle of Dorn. This is the home of the
Jak
earth
ty.
and surface dwellers, as well as other native species of creatures.
Wildhammer Dwarfy
The
w
fertile
Twilight
soil,
Highlands.
flowering plant life, and generous waterways provide nourishment for animals in this untouched paradise.
Jak ktoś kichnął.
An important facet of earth and society is Cinderbrew mead. This volatile substance is manufactured from molten honey produced by enormous fiery bees. Their home groves are a remarkable sight as the hearts of the trees themselves glow with lava-like fluid. Harvesting is always an exciting time as the ferocious creatures are understandably protective of their hives.
Fajnie
Now
to
the
wygląda,
roosts
super.
at Storm Watch are wreathed with lightning and fierce winds.
Z
These
BFM
wild
to
elemental rooks may choose to serve a member of the Oathsworn, who if so blessed becomes a Storm Rider, one of the guardian warriors of the earth and people.
Ale to wygląda
The
fajnie.
Unbound deal with hostile creatures from time to time, but for their most part, the existence is fairly relatively peaceful, fairly sort of
Ale
peaceful.
fajnie to wygląda.
Their
Kurde.
comfortable homes are often situated near the places where they once labored as adherents to the edicts. Those sites are now in disrepair, and in some cases, the lair of other creatures. Of course, the Isle of Dorn boasts a great walled city where the Oathsworn live and serve the edicts of the Titans.
Ale świetnie to wygląda.
The city
Kurde.
of Dornagal is the location of many important civic buildings, markets, traders, and crafters.
No to
And it's
chyba...
here that a traveler will find the expected amenities of the capital city, as
nowy
well
chapiec.
as the Titan Causeway, the defense of which is the Oathsworn's primary charge. Now, beneath the surface of the Isle of Dorn lies our second zone, the Ringing Deeps. As the name
Damn.
suggests, it is here that the Earthen are engaged in their work in accordance with the edicts. In these industrial areas of this cavernous space are huge, complicated machines, lava-heated foundries and forges, and waterworks, both to cool and to power huge machinery. Maintaining these Titan mechanisms and keeping everything running is both the responsibility and the passion of the machine speakers. The Earth has shifted too in places, revealing openings to the sky above to the Isle of Dorn. These cenotes bring light and water into areas once shrouded in darkness. Abundant greenery, flowers, and creatures that do not typically dwell in caverns may be found in these idyllic spots. It was really important to us as developers that we delivered the fantasy of the hard-working industry, but still had some break-up areas of natural beauty that don't feel like dark, constrained tunnels.
Wagon
Now, as the
riding.
machine speaker population has dropped, they've had increasing difficulties with kobold incursions. And indeed, the kobolds have taken over the mines, the work areas. They've even built a city of their own.
Wagon riding.
Unexpectedly, the kobolds are actually becoming a force to be reckoned with under the aggressive actions of their leader, the Candle King. You knew it had to be a candle.
Holy shit.
No take candle.
Gold
No
stuff.
take candle. With the passage of time, the Earthen have diminished both in number and in the knowledge required to perform the various routines to tune and repair the processes.
Król
The old
świetny.
ways have been forgotten, and new creative methods must be employed if the edicts are to be obeyed. So they're kind of making it up as they go along. From the Ringing Deeps,
Okay.
we descend further
Fajnie
into
to lore brzmi.
Khazalgar to reach Hollowfall, a vast hollow area in the earth, bordered by an endless underground sea. This tenuous foothold under the bright light
Wow.
of an enormous crystal has allowed the Arathi
Wow.
to survive, using their airships to travel to high plateaus and establish docks, light towers, villages, and even a priory. From their capital
Wayne
of
Priory?
Merildar, these trapped people strive to keep hope alive and spread
Zajeb.
the light,
Świetnie
while engaged in
wygląda.
a near constant battle with the Nerubians at their borders. The open spaces, the bright light, and the greenery are intended to feel as though we're on the surface, somehow, rather than in this sort of strange hollow within Azeroth. The crystal provides brilliant light, warmth, and growth for vegetation. You may notice that all the blooming plants have opened their blossoms toward the light and seem to be reaching in that direction whenever they're in holofall. Unfortunately, the crystal sun has been changing in recent years.
Ale też myślałem, że
Where
to
once
jest,
the light
jest
was steady and
Sargerasa.
reliable, it now fades without warning, plunging the Arathi into darkness, save where they have built light towers and maintained their holy flame beacons. In the absence of this light,
Wow,
the dangerous Kobis and other fierce creatures emerge from the sea to rampage.
Ale fajny
As
pomysł.
the Arathi are barely holding back the Nerubians, these unpredictable episodes are incredibly demoralizing and deadly.
Ale fajny lore, fajny
Happily,
motyw.
the light has always returned to the crystal, so far. And at the deepest descent in the war within, we reach the zone of Aj-Kahet. That almost rhymes.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, the Nerubian city of Threads has been built on the ruins of itself, over and over and over again. As areas decay and crumble, a new district is built upon its ruins, and as a result, the city climbs ever higher. Those Nerubians favored by the queen, or possessing enormous wealth, or both, command the greatest views and live in the highest places over these swarming masses of the many districts. The Burrows is the home of the scavengers, the forgotten, deep in the decay and the filth. The Umbral Bazaar is a trading hub of fine silks, fascinating alchemical discoveries, and other exotic and hard-to-find goods. The Skanes are the home of the lore keepers and scholars who toil to maintain the history of their people and research myths and legends of Azeroth.
Mamy Azjolnerów
There are
wreszcie,
many
kumacie?
other districts and less than savory neighborhoods,
Wow.
both well-known and secret, that the careful adventurer could discover, should they risk life and limb to do so.
Ale to fajne.
But the key to such exploration is fitting in among the Nerubians
To jest ten
and
screen.
being accepted. An enterprise both best accomplished through skill in the use of pheromones
ale
and
gadzi,
considerable bravery. The zone of Aj-Kahet features areas of spectacular dark beauty that are inhabited by these creatures that have found a way to live among the Nerubians without being deemed a threat, found to be particularly tasty to consume, or just too much fun to torment. The mobilization of forces to assault the Arathi while also providing military might to achieve Xalatath's schemes has stirred up all sorts of inhabitants of the darkness. And deep within the city itself, the Nerubians are gathering an odd substance, the black blood of the old gods, for some unknown purpose.
Nice.
But I'm sure that's fine.
Nice. Nice.
Now I'd like to
Jak
talk a
Artos.
little bit about our zone flow. As I mentioned,
There it is. There it
Awesome,
is. Oto jest. Oto jest. Dynamic Flight, oni to chyba teraz nazywają, tak? Tak to
we
młodzież teraz
travel
nazywa.
from the Isle of Dorn into the Ringing Deeps, into Holofall, and then into Aj-Kahet. In the War Within, all of our zones are connected all together using the airlock technology that we developed for Zarelek Cavern,
O kuźwa.
allowing for this seamless descent from the Isle of Dorn all the way to Aj-Kahet. That was video I just captured last week
Nice.
of the transition between the Ringing Deeps and Holofall. As you can see, we built for dynamic flight, and we were able to flow directly between the zones without the load screen. There is some seriously amazing swoopy goodness to be had moving across these zones and through these spaces. It
Fajnie.
feels so cool
To oni się
to
tego z
burst
Shadowlandsów
out of a
nauczyli.
really tight area and into just a huge drop like that. It's so exhilarating.
Że te krainy muszą być
Now,
połączone
this
ze sobą.
blobby map that I've got up here was an early attempt during development of our zone flow to try to figure out how we would stack these zones together and achieve the relationship between their geography and geometry that made sense and felt great to traverse. We ended up with something slightly different than this, but this is pretty representative to explain what the world builders were thinking about when they planned these spaces out. It was really important to our design that while 3 of the 4 zones are technically underground, they didn't feel that way, and that they were distinctly different from one another.
Okay.
We pursued that goal by introducing the natural cenotes in the Ringing Deeps and leaning into the fantasy of the classic underground foundry and industrial workspaces. So even in the zone that felt the tightest, there's places that look as though they're actually on the surface. And within Holofall, we created a massive hollow space in a cavern so vast it feels like an exterior, with a huge artificial sun in the form of a gigantic crystal. And in Aj-Kahet, we leaned hard into traditional Nerubian architecture with hanging nests and huge palaces built all over a decaying city that just falls away into the depths.
Nie, wygląda to
And
niesamowicie
that is the
fajnie.
last bit of eye candy I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this peek at what we've got in development.
Nie no, bardzo fajnie. Ale porozmawiajmy o gierce, okej? Fajnie, jaram się, bardzo, nie ukrywam. Lorowo bardzo, naprawdę dawno nie byłem tak zajarany lorowo, ale...
So now it's time for me to introduce you to Morgan Day, who's going to give you lots of information about dungeons, raids, and systems. Bye.
Bye bye. Fajnie, nie no, kurde, mega wyglądają te, naprawdę, wow. Ale czas na systemy, czas na gameplay, czas na mięso, słuchajcie.
Hello, Blizzcon. My
Morgan
name is
Dzień.
Morgan Day, and I'm here to talk to you about some of the upcoming content, features, and systems in The War Within. I'm sure I'll also make some funny faces that I'll regret later in thumbnails, but whatever. First up, let's talk about dungeons. There will be 8 new dungeons coming in The War Within, 4 during level up, 1 in each of the 4 zones that Maria just walked us through, as well as 4 at max level. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening in these dungeons. For instance, we have like a kobold dungeon where you'll meet that Candle King, where there's like a light mechanic that takes place. You have to kind of keep it going to light your way. There's a dragon riding dungeon, of course. But also, one of my favorites is the Cinderbrew Meadery that Maria just talked us through. So this is a dungeon that takes place on our first zone, the Isle of Dorn, which is where you'll experience, all of our earthen buddies, and this is the place where they make that Cinderbrew mead that she was talking about.
Czy ja usłyszałem Dragon
Riding
Dungeon?
honey that they gather from throughout the zone to make the mead, to do all kinds of fun and/or nefarious things with. Although I do have to say, I feel like they're a little bit behind the times. I feel like all the kids are drinking that, hard seltzer or something these days, but whatever. They're old school, I get it. Next up, our raid, the Nerubar Palace. So this is an 8-boss raid that will take place in the zone of Aj-Kahet. And this is really the culmination of all of those machinations we keep hearing about that we see play out between the Nerubian Empire, their queen, and her collaboration with Xalatath. So for this next one, we don't normally show things this early, but I thought it'd be cool to share. On the left there, you can kind of see the top-down view of the raid, and on the right, it's more of like a side cutout. So we like to work on all of our dungeons and raids when they still look like this, as it's much easier to iterate while we're in 2D than it is to kind of change the zones around once we're in the game and it's all blocked out. So to step us through the raid really quickly, after barging through the front door, you'll very quickly fall and/or get knocked into one of those giant pits of that black blood of the old god that you'll hear much more about in Aj-Kahet. And then you'll batter your way through the harvest pits, and then finally traverse your way back up through the stalactite wing,
To jest coś, co najpóźniej, moim zdaniem, oni powinni zachowywać. Gadać już o rajdzie samym. To jest coś, co mniejszą część osób już interesuje. Trochę jak z tym zdaniem.
So as you can see, this will kind of feel like a winged raid in terms of the vibes, but in terms of the player experience, it'll actually be quite a bit more linear than what you might be used to for a raid with some winged vibes. So something that I also think is fun to talk about really quick is with all of our dungeons and raids, we like to try to explore like what is the thing that's going to make this space feel really unique, that's going to make it stand out from all the other times that we've built these dungeons and raids. And with this space, we really thought that, given that we have the Nerubian to play with, they've got all these amazing like webs and silken threads that you can kind of traverse the zone through. We thought it'd be really fun to explore verticality as a major element of this raid. So I think that'll be really fun to see what the team comes up with for that.
No spoko, no dla tych 10 000
let's talk about systems.
Let's go. No. Wreszcie ciekawe rzeczy teraz, no.
So I want to walk you through some of our features and systems at a really high level, but first I want to talk about some of the philosophies that are really guiding us to add these into the War Within.
No.
So first and foremost, we really want to continue to extend the philosophies of Dragonflight into the War Within. And really, when we talk about that, there's 3 main pillars that I want to touch on.
Okay.
First, we really want to make sure that we're focusing on evergreen features.
Nice,
we want to make sure that we're making World of Warcraft better forever.
Bravo.
And not focusing on things that we know we're going to have to leave behind as we move into future expansions.
Wiadomka. Czyli
Next,
życzenie spełnione.
we want to make sure that there's something for everyone. So whether you're a hardcore raider, a PvPer, a collector, or apparently like Holly, you just love to play tons of alts and run around the world exploring things. We want to make sure that there's something in War Within that you can really geek out over and that resonates with you. And finally, we want to make sure that we're continuing to build on our philosophy and build on our systems and content with people who play multiple characters in mind. We want to make sure...
Yep. Mowa, to jest Libertum referencja
we're
tutaj.
building all of our systems to really respect the time of the player behind the keyboard and not focusing so much on the accomplishments of that individual character.
Tak, brawo, tak, Jezus, tak, Blizzard. Dziękuję ci.
So let's talk about delves. Delves are a new feature that will be integrated into the outdoor world experience, where the fantasy of these is actually that you'll be joining the Dragon Scale expedition in their search for lost treasures all across Kazalgar.
Oczywiście zaryżynęli
So
delwy
delves
z
are
ESO
an
dosłownie.
evergreen feature that is really integrated into that outdoor world experience. We want delves to be a new pillar of endgame content for those outdoor world explorers. We really view this as something like when we added world quests back in Legion, where they are going to be really integrated and transformative into that outdoor world, especially that endgame loop.
Cudownie, brawo, cudownie.
So one of the main reasons I'm stoked about delves is that these will provide an opportunity for us to, give seasonal content and rewards to those outdoor world explorers. So that means things like, rewards that you're used to, like mounts, achievements, titles, but we'll also be adding a outdoor row to the Great Vault with War Within.
Nice! Brawo, świetnie. To jest mój nowy content obok solo szachy.
So that all of you outdoor world explorers will be able to share in the joy of, rushing to the Great Vault every week to
Tego mi brakowało w Dragonflight.
And there will also be 13 unique delves that we'll be launching War Within with. And delves will scale from 1 to 5 players and be role agnostic. So that means if you want to play a delve solo, that's totally cool. If you want to go with you and your partner, that works as well. Or you can bring your whole dungeon group in, and the delve will scale based on your group size and your roles.
Dokładnie jak Torghast i Wizję. Po prostu, to jest kontynuacja tej technologii. Bardzo, to jest dokładnie to, co wczoraj mówiłem, że brakuje.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention one of my favorite features of delves, which I think Maria alluded to earlier, which is that there will be an NPC companion joining you on all of your adventures. So, for Season 1, that'll be Bran Bronzebeard, as you can see.
Czyli sezonowy affix jakby. Na te delwy.
And Bran will be tagging along with you on all of your delve adventures, and will totally never, not even once, aggro a pack of monsters that you didn't want him to. And I don't have my fingers crossed behind my back right now. So Bran will have a customizable talents and mechanics and abilities that you'll be able to kind of load out to suit your playstyle and needs. So, maybe you need a little bit of extra healing. Well, you can load Bran out to provide that for you.
Czyli to będą po prostu jakby drzewka umiejętności w delwach.
You wouldn't be exploring with the Dragon Scale Expedition if at the end of every delve there wasn't this massive treasure trove that we need Bran to open for us, which hopefully brought a couple of keys to open some of the chests in there. But before Bran can open that vault for you, you'll need to maybe defeat a boss, maybe you'll solve a couple puzzles, something like that, and then Bran will be able to open that vault door for you.
Super. Ale to będzie zajebisty dodatek. Ale to będzie dobry dodatek. Ale to czuję, mówiłem wam, to jest drugi Legion.
Next up, let's talk about warbands. It's happening!
Nice! Tak, brawo! To jest też dobry feature.
So warbands are a system that we're introducing that will really be the representation of all of your characters across your Battle.net account. Warbands are an opportunity for us to create a platform where you can share your achievements, resources, and all that other good stuff across all of those characters. So the goal of this system is really to be that representation of the philosophy shift that I mentioned earlier about really respecting the time of the player behind the keyboards and not those individual characters.
Mów mi jeszcze.
There's actually a ton of additions and modifications. We've talked about a few here. There's no singular UI screen that says warbands. It's more of all these modifications and updates and features are kind of wearing a big coat that says warbands on the back of it. It's how I kind of keep it straight in my head.
Okay.
But just to talk about a couple of those cool features, we'll actually be revisiting the transmog rules of how you acquire those appearances in the War Within. So for all of you who
To jest bomba, to jest bomba, to jest absolutna bomba. To jest absolutna bomba. Ja wiem, co on powie to, co czytaliśmy, że...
So that means all of you who have probably had to run 4 characters through all of those legacy instances just to make sure you're collecting all the appearances, that won't be the case anymore in War Within. You'll just be able to run it with 1 character.
Brawo! Matko święta, ile wam to zajęło?
Holly mentioned this already, but this is obviously one that people are looking forward to. All of our reputations as well as renown in the War Within will be shared across your entire account. Last but not least, let's talk about hero talents. So here's a quick mock-up of what the UI will look like that I think really helps explain how these integrate into our current talent trees. But really quick, let's take a look at how this will work. So there will be 3 new hero talent trees per class, and 2 will be available per specialization that you can freely choose and swap between.
Okay.
And also, this is another evergreen feature. This is a system that we think is going to provide a new vector of choice and customization for you and all of your classes, as well as create opportunities for us to really dig into some of those core class fantasies that are, so amazing.
Bardzo fajnie.
Hero talents will introduce these new, small, self-contained talent trees, like you just saw in the UI. And the way I like to think about it is like, currently we have 2 types of talent points, right? We have class talent points and specialization talent points. And now in the War Within, there'll be a 3rd type called hero talent points. So let's look at a quick example, which hopefully explains it a little bit more.
Czyli rozbudowujemy.
Warrior, as you can see. These are the 3 hero talent trees that they'll have available: Mountain Thane, Colossus, and Slayer. And as you can see in the top left, we have Protection, who will be able to choose between Mountain Thane and Colossus.
What?
Up on the right, you'll see Fury.
Rozumiem.
Yep, that's right. Mountain Thane and Slayer are their options, and down at the bottom, Colossus and Slayer are their options. So this is how the majority of our classes are going to look in the War Within. The exception, of course, being Druids and Demon Hunters, who are a bit special, so there's a look a
Tak, Demon Hunters są specjalni, tak.
So let's take a look at how you'll unlock the system, as well as how it'll feel playing through as you're leveling through the War Within. So the system will automatically unlock at level 71, and it'll just kind of appear in your UI. You'll earn 1 talent point per level as you level from 71 to 80. And there are 10 talent points in total, with several choice nodes along the way. So I like to think of this as being similar to like the Legion artifact, where as you were leveling and progressing, you were making some choices along the way, but ultimately you're going to unlock the whole tree.
Okej, bardzo fajnie, ale musicie trochę sprunować baseline'ową klasę też.
These are extremely low friction to swap between those choice nodes, as well as to swap between the different hero talent trees.
Low friction, w sensie?
So, this should be very analogous to your current talent trees and will follow all the same rules that you used to there. So, at the start of a raid boss, before a Mythic Plus start.
Nie ma sztucznych ograniczeń, możesz zmieniać to w każdej chwili. To jest to, co on mówi.
Anywhere in between.
Super.
And to wrap us up, I wanted to show off a really quick video of what hero talents look like in action.
Okay.
So this is a warrior, as you can see, pop an avatar, jumping in. And this next one is that same warrior with the Mountain Thane talent tree. As you can see, Stormbolt hits multiple targets. There's a couple of cool V effects and a lot of other cool stuff going on there as well. I heard some oohs.
Mi się zacięło, czy wszystkie?
Our effects artists will be happy. So,
nie, no fajnie, super.
That about wraps us up for our What's Next panel.
Jest pewno ale i stało się to, co mówiłem swoją drogą, to czego się obawiałem. Oni po prostu rozbudowywują klasy dalej. No, jest minus tego.
Hope you really liked what you saw here, and if you'd like to know more, please join us tomorrow at the Deep Dive panel at noon, where Ian will walk you through some of what you saw today in more detail. As well as a bunch of other cool new stuff in the War Within. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a great BlizzCon. Bye!
Nice, dawaj Iona, ale dobra, Ion będzie jutro. Generalnie się jaram, bardzo fajnie, ale mówię, jesteśmy w kierunku tego samego błędu, co kiedyś. Oni powinni jakoś sprunować te dotychczasowe talenty. A dałoby się je sprunować, w większości przypadków dałoby się. A to się skończył WoWowy panel teraz, tak?